Hello and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, the strategies, and the insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today I am lucky to be joined by Kristen of Kreps PR and Marketing. How's it going, Kristen?
Doing great. It's a fantastic Tuesday.
Yes, it really is. So I would love to start this off just by learning a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about your agency.
Okay. Well, myself, I've been in marketing and PR simultaneously since probably about 2010. Before that, I was a professional soprano. I actually have a degree in music, which is kind of crazy, but it really led into being in a promotional career because you really have to, when you're a solo artist, you have to promote yourself a lot. And I found that I really liked promoting other people better than myself. So I had a number of different kinds of jobs in marketing and development. Actually, I did a lot of fundraising development and moved into public relations, and then realized I wanted to help like the small business because I did the nonprofit and then the for-profit. And then I really had a heart for small businesses. So I opened my own company and I did that for 8 years. It was called Kristen Rose Agency. And then I got acquired or merged with Kreps PR and Marketing. I met them through a mutual friend and client, and the rest is history, as we say. That was in 2000. That was in 2021. And
Wow.
so Kreps PR is a 35-year-old firm, was once the third biggest in Florida, and they are just filled with dynamic powerhouses that I am constantly humbled by, but I'm very happy to work on the team that I work with.
That's awesome. I've had some agencies in the PR space, and it's definitely a fun. PR goes such a long way in helping a company. Not I come from it from the sales end, right? So I noticed how much better it was when my company had PR that I would do sales for, and how much easier it was to close when we'd been featured in publications like Forbes or Entrepreneur Magazine or something. So a lot of people don't understand that. How do you get companies past that hump of, hey, this type of earned media is going to be really good in ways that you might not even originally expect?
Oh man, well, that is really like the million-dollar question. I think it's about creating value, and because there is a level, especially when you meet a company that's never had PR before or doesn't even know what PR is. And
Mhm.
we're fortunate enough, and especially me in my past and my profession, that I've had a lot of marketing experience. So we're fortunate enough to have a good understanding of how PR and marketing work together. And they even work together so much more now than they ever did before. So I feel like where we can kind of align those ROI levels of, okay, so here's your marketing standards and this is where you need to be. This is how PR can marry that and elevate it. And it's all about making like a strategic plan. That's probably the number one thing of what you said, like getting them over the hump is like creating that strategic plan of, okay, we're going to do these sort of deliverables going alongside what your marketing plan already is. And these are the things that we're going to hope to achieve when we get to this point. And it's going to be like A, B, C, whether that's published articles, thought leadership, earned media, assistance with non-earned media, like advertorial type things. We just want to be the advocates that come alongside these companies and can help them in every single element that involves communications. So with their messaging and all of that. So we try to become a valued resource that they can't live without.
Yeah, I love that. And you guys serve such a diverse range of clients, from large enterprises to startups. So I guess I'm curious, what's the key to creating effective, tailored PR and marketing strategies for such varied businesses, and how does your interdisciplinary approach play into that?
I think it's all about, well, A, listening to the client, so to speak, because there's a level of us advising them of where they can get and what kinds of things they need to do to get there, but also listening to them of like where they want to be and how they want to get there, how they see themselves getting there. I feel like we have to tailor it to their specific wants. And sometimes there's conversations where we have to bring them down a few notches. We've had a couple clients that have, number one, been like, we need to be on the Today Show. And we're like, well, that's probably not going to be happening, but here's all these other things that maybe we can align you with. And if that could be like a goal for later on, then we'll aim towards that. If that's going to be like something that's way out of their realm, we'll advise them of that. So I feel like it's all about being transparent and honest, and also taking their plans and reverse engineering them down to, okay, where do we start to get there?
Yeah.
And letting them know the realities of, yes, you could probably be an Entrepreneur magazine. No, probably Good Morning America might not be in your realm. But, maybe we can talk about it again at another time. I don't know.
Right. And I know that you joined forces with Israel Kreps, who's a highly respected figure in PR, both as a mentor and as a partner. And how has this collaboration shaped your approach to leadership and client relationships at Kreps?
Oh man, well, Israel is he is just a master in client retention. And I think it's because of who he is, but it's the longevity of his firm, the longevity of the relationships that he continues to retain, but also like he does really do what I just said, walk alongside his clients to be their advocate, to be their advisor, to move with them when things happen. And like he's brought many clients through many different issues, hurricanes recently, financial crisis, 2008, COVID. He's walked through all these things. And we actually had this conversation just recently because the real estate, we do a lot with real estate and development and commercial development, private, commercial, everything. And just this last year, it was a difficult space because things were very volatile, interest rates being so high, like it was a shaky niche to be in.
Right.
And when we were talking about like our 2024 plan, he was actually saying to me, I don't actually know, not that I don't know what to say to my team, but I'm debating on how I'm going to approach this with the team of how we're going to talk about how we handle 2024. And I was like, Israel, all you have to do is talk about what you did in 2008. What did you do into 2020? All of those things that you brought these companies through. And yeah, sometimes he had to take a step back and take less money or take a break from a company because they couldn't afford his services. But guess what? He was always right there when they needed him again. And then when things got better, he was able to have those conversations to maybe up that retainer back where it was. So I feel like it's just being able to like ebb and flow with the force of business and being able to have that ability to be flexible, if that makes sense.
That. Yeah, no, and it seems like you've definitely learned a lot from him as well, just watching him work and working alongside him, which is really cool.
Oh, definitely. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah. As a boutique firm with the backing of Brandstar, you have a unique blend of nimbleness and broad resources. How do you balance the agility of a boutique agency with the expanded capabilities that Brandstar offers?
So that is a great question. And I feel like we're moving through that right now. I feel like there are adjustments on both ends. Brandstar has to figure out what it is that makes Kreps what it is, the key elements that makes Kreps so successful. We still have our original client from like 1988, Berkshire Hathaway, EWM Services, Home Services is Israel's client for 35 years now or over. And so Brandstar has to look at that. Brandstar is also 30 years old and look at that and say, wow, well, there's things that are obviously going very well that we can't change. But here's maybe situational, institutional, corporate things that we can change to make the workings within Kreps maybe a little more seamless. The hiring processes, the firing processes, the HR processes, like all of that stuff, I feel like is what the attributes that Brandstar can bring to us and does bring to us. And then there's more elements into that because Brandstar is actually becoming like a merger and acquisition like company now. That's what they're doing is they're finding companies that are very successful at what they do, small boutique agencies like Kreps, but even smaller, and acquiring them and bringing them into the fold, not changing what they're doing, not firing employees or anything like that, letting them be their own entity, but a Brandstar company, just like Kreps is. And so that actually leads to a lot of awesome synchronicities and collaborations, because it's like now if we got, say, a pharmaceutical company, we now have a social media company that specializes in pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Or if we wanted to do B2B marketing and we want to do PR for a private equity firm, we actually acquired a marketing company called Trefoil that specializes in private equity firms. So it's very smart of Mark Alfieri, who's the CEO of Brandstar, to have this kind of like forward vision of bringing all these entities under one roof so that we can completely be like the parent company that provides everything that's needed. It's not a seamless process, and maybe someday it will be, but it's definitely the right step in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that. It kind of attacks both ends of, if there's prospects that are scared of working with a smaller boutique firm, it's okay because you've got the back end, and vice versa. There's some clients that, so you can kind of appeal to both ends of what a prospect might need. And so that's a really cool resource to have. And I love the growth through M&As. It's a really cool strategy to grow. I don't think a lot of people are using it quite yet. I think that people don't understand that, but it's such a strong way to grow.
It's just all about finding the right teams and the right companies. And that's the uniqueness of it, because Mark will say every day that he invests in people, not companies. And it really is clear, because I assist Israel. Israel's like our chief communications officer. That's like his official title within Brandstar, the parent company. And I basically assist him with all the merger, all the M&A press releases, all the we basically talk to all those companies and leaders as they come in about integrating PR. And so I've been on the inside more than anybody at Kreps, really. So it is very obvious that Mark and his team that works with mergers and acquisitions, like they're choosing very particular people and not just the company to work with.
It's awesome. And I think that's where it's at too. It's not just one thing to buy a company. It's really about the founder and their vision. So that sounds like a good marriage there. In a fast evolving industry, what's your approach to staying on top of emerging trends, current news cycles, and new capabilities? And how do you ensure that your team remains adaptable and innovative?
Another very good question. So we definitely have to stay on top of trends. It's a no-brainer. There are certain things that we can do. It just depends on what industry we're kind of focusing on, or individually what we're working on at the time. And so we do a lot of thought leadership. I would say a good example of this is like the Substack trend right now, and how a lot of thought leaders are creating their own pages on Substack. And it's like a lot of people that don't understand Substack, it's like your own blog, but it's within this big conglomeration of everybody else's blog. So it becomes this huge kind of media source, because people that go through Substacks they can subscribe. It's like a huge thing that you don't have to be the engine. All you do is create the content, and the engine is the engine. And I feel like that is a trend that a lot of thought leaders that normally wouldn't look to that or be a part of that are now participating in, because earned media is so few and far between. It's very hard to get these days, more than ever.
Definitely. So for
I probably could say a couple more, but for the sake of time.
Yeah, no, I like the Substack example because it's something that like you're hearing about right now. Like even me, I'm hearing about it, but I haven't made my way onto there. But I know that there are more and more people that are starting their newsletters or their blogs on there. It's really interesting watching the industry shift into something like that, which is cool.
Or like medium.com is another example of that, where like really great like basic online magazines almost are coming off of it, and it's just a huge resource now. And they'll tell you, now they'll suggest to you should be reading these things too. Okay. Like you could spend hours.
Yeah, definitely. So for brands seeking to engage diverse audiences, what advice would you give on crafting messaging that resonates across different cultural or geographic segments?
So this is always about identifying who it is you're talking to. Like whatever this brand is doing, whoever this brand represents and whatever they're selling, so to speak, who are you talking to? And this is what I go through with companies quite often. It's like, where do they live? What do they read? What do they eat? Where do they walk? Where do they work? Do they work out? Identifying that whole avatar journey of this actual person. And a lot of times companies don't get that granular. Like they don't take, I know that this is a common practice among marketing, but I don't feel like anybody, I shouldn't say anybody. I feel like very few companies like really dive into it and identify, okay, this person goes to work every day, goes to the gym at 6 a.m., goes to this coffee shop, picks up their kid at this school, goes home and sits in front of their desktop and works. Like if you outline that whole journey, that makes your basic choices of how you want to reach that person so much more obvious.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't take, if your ideal person was somebody that remote works, that goes to maybe 3 places a day and that's it forever and ever, amen, you wouldn't be like putting an ad in like Ocean Drive magazine for that person. You'd be investing in programmatic. You'd be investing things that they're going to take. You would be investing in geotagging. And what one of the companies we work with, they call it like boundaries. Like you would want to tag their cell phone so that when they come home, the ads that you're serving them on their cell phone will pop onto their desktop and pop onto their, and that's more marketing, but I do live in that world. And then when you're choosing like the earned media that you want, you would choose the publications that person might be reading. If it's Facebook, if they're getting all their news on Facebook and you know this about your client or your customer, then that's where you want to be putting your stories. That's where you want to be creating groups that they could join to get more information. So that would be my advice, is like, you got to know who this person is. You have to put a name to them. You have to put a lifestyle to them and then tailor what you want to do around that lifestyle.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's something big that we do at Orange, is focus on programmatic and geotagging. And it is that. I think a lot of companies have this idea that people are just ready and sitting waiting for their ads all day every day, and it's just not true, right? You got to go to where the customer is.
Exactly. I feel like people have always asked me, don't you think it's creepy that Facebook might be listening to you and serving you the ads that you talk about or whatever? And I'm like, actually, I don't, because I feel like everybody's so busy that it's supposed to be helpful. Yes, it is a little bit manipulative in a way, but it's supposed to be helpful. And it's that way with public relations too. Like when we try to do the articles that need to be written or get the features that need to be identified, reach the people that might need the information, like we essentially are manipulating in a sense and using that information to our benefit and to our clients' benefit. But we're also helping people by serving them the information that they need in this busy world.
Absolutely. So, reflecting on your journey with Kreps PR, what's been the most rewarding aspect of your work, and what are your hopes for the future of the agency?
Oh man. I feel like I need time to think this over.
Loaded question.
We all too, like we all just survive and get our jobs done every day. I would say the most rewarding thing is the little successes. We have a lawyer client, a Weinstein legal team, that when we signed with them a while, probably now it's over a year ago, they were just like literally at like ground zero. There was an education aspect there where we had to educate them. What does PR do? What does PR represent? How can PR help you get to the goals that you want to get to? And it's been a slow process, but we've also come alongside them as they've rebranded, started new advertising campaigns, advised as to what their website should represent, like having a press page on their website, what announcements would merit PR, like hiring new hires. They just opened a new office, things like that, that I feel like have been a learning process, but like the little wins in between. And now Justin, the founding partner, is getting recognized as like a marketing kind of maverick in his field, because there's so many personal injury firms that don't have the forward vision that he has. He's much more of a business entrepreneur than he is a personal injury lawyer. But we've been able to come alongside him and invest in that and kind of elevate that. So he's gotten on some really great podcasts, and it's just elevating like the things he wants to do with his own career, and then therefore bringing up Weinstein Legal Team at the same time. So those are the things that are the most enjoyable for me. I do love those little wins. And then like later on, for the future of Kreps is what you asked. I would just hope, I really would love for Kreps to become like the kind of the beacon of like the hub of public relations in Miami. Like what I would love to see is if we could create like a PR community where we all meet together and bring in journalists to talk to us and our peers about what they'd like to see happening in our profession. And that's something that I've been kind of talking about with other employees at Kreps, but it would be so nice if we could create this community in Miami, because I don't believe it exists. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, like Broward or Miami, where we could all meet together, invite journalists to come in and tell us like, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? What would they like to see more of? How can we assist them in making their job better? Because man, journalists' jobs, they're just horrible. Like they have the toughest time because they're all like, all their crews are skeleton crews, the papers and the news stations, and they're all just like running to get the next story and to make things worthwhile and to be able to tell the news in a professional way. And I would just love to be able to like have Kreps be a resource to them. And we're not there yet, but I would love to create like a forum where we could be that.
It's awesome. Well, yeah, this has been great. Where can people find out more about you? Where can people find out more about Kreps?
Well, me particularly LinkedIn. I do try to stay active on it. And then Kreps PR, also LinkedIn, and our website, krepspr.com. And then Brandstar, obviously, is brandstar.com. They can find out about all the things there.
Great. And I'll have all that linked in the show notes below. Thank you so much for being on, Kristen. This is great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.